Seligman's experiment on learned helplessness. Overview of the study. The concept of learned helplessness was defined after analyzing the results of a classic experiment of the same name in psychology. This experiment was proposed and implemented by the famous psychologist Martin Seligman, and its essence was to study the influence of uncontrollable events on the body's behavior. In its preliminary version, this experiment used dogs and considered the possibility of achieving a state of learned helplessness. Methods utilized. 3 groups of dogs took part in the experiment, one of which, according to the standards of such studies, remained a control and was not exposed. The second group was exposed to electric shocks in closed cages, and a stop lever was available. The third group was placed in an identical cage, but the lever did not affect the electricity. Nor were the dogs able to leave the cages. As a result, the experiment's author got the predictable result and confirmed his theory of learned helplessness, as the dogs from the third group became passive and did not try to escape even after placing them in the box with the functioning lever. Interpretation of results and identified weaknesses. Thus, one can state the influence of uncontrollable events on behavior, resulting in loss of control and feelings of helplessness and apathy. However, it is worth highlighting several flaws in the experiment, some of which are obvious. First, the sample could not represent the general population since only one dog breed was chosen. The validity of the results could also be challenged since it is impossible to distinguish passivity and apathy from truly learned helplessness under non-accidental influences and conditions. That said, adequate control of the experimenter's demand and effects could positively affect the interpretation of the results, which is noticed when dealing with motivational learned helplessness. Among other things, the ethics of animal experimentation are highly questionable. Recommendations for improvement. Testing the hypothesis on a representative group of different animals and humans would be worth testing to improve the experiment. In doing so, the testing method should be chosen more humanely and non-sufferingly, and control over the experimenter's effects should be strengthened. Thus, even with Seligman's relatively logical interpretation of the results and reasonably optimal chosen proof method, his experiment has many flaws. However, it is worth noting that repeating such experiments even under different conditions would only bring harm to its participants, so the best option would be to use technology and artificial intelligence to modulate events.